most people, when you hear the word economics, a sense of boredom overwhelms you. However, Stephen Levitt and Stephen Dubner, whose novel revolves around their coined term Freakonomics, which establishes this unconventional premise: if morality represents how we would like the world to work, then economics represents how it actually does work. Stephen Levitt is an economist who teaches at Chicago University, and Stephen Dubner is a writer for the New York Times Magazine who helped Levitt write this novel. Levitt purposely had this book written without one specific theme. Every chapter goes into a captivating question that he solves before the next chapter starts. However, in Freakonomics, the main point that Levitt makes throughout the book is how incentives provide temptation for cheating, and then analyzes the rationale behind someone's behavior. The three main topics I will be discussing that interested me the most encompass the economics of drug dealing, the role legalized abortion has playing in reducing crime, and the socioeconomic patterns of naming children. Most people correlate drugs with lots of money, but it turns out that it is the complete opposite. A drug game works a lot like a standard capitalistic enterprise. You have to be near the top of the pyramid to make a big wage. A foot soldier is a young boy who sells drugs on the street for little pay and gives the rest to the gang leader. They only make around $3.30 an hour. In fact, most of the Chicago foot soldiers also work minimum wage jobs to supplement somewhat of a living. The leader of a crack gang once told Venkatesh, who was a lead scientist that started research on drug gangs, that he could easily afford to pay his foot soldiers more, but it wouldn't be prudent. Quote, "You have to show them you're the boss. You always have to get yours first, or else you really ain't no leader. If you start taking losses, then they see you as weak." Along with the bad pay, the foot soldiers face terrible job conditions. They have to stand on a street corner all day and do business with crackheads. Foot soldiers also risk arrest and, more worrisome, violence. Using the gang's financial documents and the rest of Venkatesh's research, it is possible to construct an adverse events index of Chicago's gang during the 4 years in question. The results are astonishingly bleak. If you're a member of this gang for all 4 years, the typical fate you would have faced during the period is an average of 5.9 times of getting arrested. The average number of non-fatal wounds or injuries is 2.4, and the chance of being killed is 1 in 4. Obviously, participating in gang-like activities are a bad choice on your part, but it turns out it's great for our economy. The impact of gangs is a critical part to our economy because it consistently creates jobs and programs to fight these problems that they create. Thousands of law enforcement officers' main tasks are to fight drug crime and enforce consequences on the felons that are caught. Without these drug dealers, millions of jobs will be lost, dramatically hurting our economy. While gangs create crime, they also provide many jobs that stimulate our economy, whereas legalizing abortion plays a role in reducing crime. In the early 1990s, just as the first group of children born after Roe v. Wade was hitting its late teen years, which are the years during which young men enter their criminal prime, the rate of crime began to fall. What this cohort was missing, of course, were the children who stood the greatest chance of becoming criminals. And the crime rate continued to fall as an entire generation came of age, minus the children whose mothers had not wanted to bring a child into the world. So the main conclusion is that legalized abortion led to less unwantedness. Unwantedness leads to high crime. Legalized abortion, therefore, leads to less crime. Debating the topic of having less illegitimate children in society is very controversial and has been for centuries. Now a new debate is surfacing with Levitt's research on whether or not your children's names directly affect your future income and worth. Slate magazine analyzes the data shown dealing with socioeconomic status correlating with baby names. Here's an example from Slate's online website. On average, a person with a distinctively black name, whether it is a woman named Imani or a man named Deshaun, does have a worse life outcome than a woman named Molly or a man named Jake. But it isn't the fault of his or her name. If two black boys, Jake Williams and Deshaun Williams, are born in the same neighborhood and into the same familial and economic circumstances, they would likely have similar life outcomes. But the kind of parents who name their son Jake don't tend to live in the same neighborhoods or share economic circumstances with the kind of parents who name their son Deshaun. And that's why, on average, a boy named Jake will tend to earn more money and get more education than a boy named Deshaun. Deshaun's name is an indicator but not a cause of his life path. So even though your name does not affect your future, where you were raised does. Through powerful storytelling and ironic insight, Levitt and Dubner show that economics is, at root, the study of incentives. How people get what they want or need, especially when other people want or need the same thing. In the novel Freakonomics, they explore the hidden side of everything, the inner workings of a crack gang, how illegitimate children create crime, and how your name indicates your life path. What unites all these stories is a belief that the modern world, despite a great deal of complexity and downright deceit, is predictable, and if the right questions are asked, is even more intriguing than we think. All it takes is a new way of looking at the world.